Now, Lon Kruger, these headphones are for you, sir, just so you can hear yourself, so you know you're here. Coached in over 1,000 games, made it to 2 Final Fours, took 4 schools to the Sweet 16 and beyond, 5 schools to the NCAA Tournament. It's quite a resume, much better basketball resume than I have. And now you're with the American Cancer Society and all of this. First of all, what does this movement mean to you? Because we know at NC State how much Jim Valvano and Kay Yao have meant to raising money, even in their passing, to fight cancer. Why did you get involved? Why did you want to get involved?
Number one, thanks for the opportunity. Everyone's got a cancer story. Everyone's been touched by cancer in some way, shape, or form, and the American Cancer Society does a great job. Coaches versus Cancer is a part of that, and coaches all over the country use their platform to advocate for others to get involved in the fight. My story actually goes back. I was coaching at Kansas State in the old Big 8 conference back in the late 80s.
That's a long time ago.
A long time ago, when Norm Stewart was diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
So Norm started this, what he called a three-point attack, where his boosters pledged so much for every three-pointer his team made. So now that started the groundswell for Coaches versus Cancer, now celebrating our 30th year, and coaches all over the country do a great job advocating for others to get involved, raising dollars, of course, and most importantly, or really important, is impressing upon people the value of early screening.
Sure.
Early detection gives people the best chance to win this battle, and coaches do a great job of using that platform.
How does the money raised, how is it used? How does it impact everything?
Well, it's $155 million over 30 years. Obviously, research, that's a huge part. Doctors do such a great job. We just have to give them more tools in which to keep making progress. We've made a lot of progress. People are living longer with cancer. They're living more quality lives with cancer. They're beating cancer more frequently than ever before, and that's because of the research that provides the doctors with the information and the ability to do their job.
All right, let me ask you a couple of things about basketball. You know a little bit about that as well. You got to a Final Four for the first time in '94. What was your first trip to the Final Four like for you?
Well, as a participant, it was crazy. I mean, you really can't prepare for it because you don't know you're going until 5 days ago when you win the Elite Eight.
Right.
So all of a sudden everything hits the fan, and all the travel plans and the tickets, and yet you got to try to maintain the pace for your players in terms of preparing for, at that time, we were playing Duke in the semifinal game. So it was a ball game that went down to the last possession, but we didn't come out on top. So it was a great disappointment when it ends. But and actually, we were in Charlotte in '94. One of the, I think, 2 or 3 years after that, it was still in the smaller arenas before it went to the domes. So we were kind of in Houston in '16 with Oklahoma. It was in the dome, of course, but in Charlotte was one of the last smaller venues.
Yeah. Do you like the big venues for this as a coach? I think the shooting numbers are basically the same, right? I don't think there's a huge statistical impact. But did you like it?
I think you'd rather have an intimate, crowd right on top of you. I think players enjoy it more, coaches enjoy it more, but it needs to be in a dome because more people need to enjoy the experience. I mean, it's so huge. More people, the better. And coaches and players can deal with that. I don't think it affects the game, obviously, that much based on percentages. But more people can experience it, the better.
It's definitely noticeable if you're sitting in the lower bowl, and I had some friends who were actually at that Final Four in 2016. And I went to visit with them, and they sat in the lower bowl, and they were about 30 rows back. And, you can see the game. But it's definitely different than their other seats were, which were less than 30 rows back.
Yeah, no question. I think, in fact, in the dome, I mean, when we walked onto the court to practice in Houston in '16, you could actually sense a little breeze on your face. No question about it. I think Villanova had more to do with our terrible play than the dome did. But it was a great experience, and happy for our guys, and they'll have those memories for a lifetime.
What are the players? Is it easier for players to adjust to something like this?
No question. Players, they play in the rubber basketball on a hoop without a net on the asphalt. I mean, so they adjust anything. I think the idea of going in and now dome is a little different. You need as much time there as you can. But for the most part during the year, we always intentionally didn't have a routine specific for fear if the routine got messed up, the players are thinking, oh, now we're not going to be ready to play.
Okay.
So we changed things up just for that fact to say, hey, it doesn't matter. We still got to go play. We still got to guard. We still have to make shots and not worry about any of the extras.
NC State is here, and they have made a point to say we are enjoying the experience. How was it for you? Because you went 2 different times, 2 different teams, a little bit more than 20 years apart. So what did you learn from '94 that you took to 2016, and how should teams approach it?
Well, in 22 years, like you say, the experience of everything certainly makes a difference. But we approached it pretty similarly in that we wanted the players to enjoy it.
Right.
We wanted them to not go through it and not realize what they participated in. And yet we wanted them to understand that, okay, we enjoyed, but when it comes time, we've got to prepare for a ball game and play the way you did that earned you the right to be here. You don't have to do anything greatly different. People aren't changing a lot in the last 5 days. These 4 teams are here because of what they did. North Carolina State might be a little different because they did things really differently in the last 3 weeks in a very good way. Congratulations to Coach Keats and how he kept that together and moving in a direction to get to the point where they're all of a sudden did something where they gained confidence and then just snowballed from there.
Right.
So great job there. But these 4 teams all have a different story. North Carolina State's probably the most intriguing because of the swing in their season. But the expectations that UConn and Purdue had coming in, that's a tough burden all year long, and they've handled that extremely well and great years throughout. And then, of course, Alabama, a great year as well. And obviously they're going to have to make some shots to have a chance against UConn, but I think anyone to have a chance against UConn is going to have to make a lot of three-pointers. Yeah,
but that's what Alabama does. That's what they did to one of our other teams, North Carolina. They 3-point shot them out of the building. Lon Kruger is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. When you look at the State-Purdue matchup, and you've got DJ Burns, big guy, Zach Edey, somehow, bigger guy.
Bigger guy.
How do you see that?
Very intriguing. Edey's going to do what he does. I think Burns, has got to make some adjustments, because he's just that size inside is something he hadn't gone against. But Burns has made adjustments. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
He plays with a joy, and so it'll be interesting to see how they what assignments those big guys have, if they're putting Burns on Edey or not. But I think always foul trouble is going to be important. Which guy gets the second foul at what point in the first half will make a big difference. But it'll be fun. I think that's a matchup everyone's looking forward to.
You ever yell at an official and get a call?
Well, I don't know. I actually I yell at the officials a lot more when I watch them on television with Kevin coaching than I did as a coach on the sideline. But no, officials are human. They listen to you. I think they appreciate you doing it in a fairly discreet way. But who knows? They're all different.
All right, Lon Kruger. Before we let you go, the way that NC State is playing now, what can confidence do for a team? Because they clearly go on the court feeling like they are better than the team that they're playing.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the roster they've got now is not a lot different from what it was throughout the season.
No, it isn't.
Not like they all of a sudden got a guy healthy.
Right.
So I think that in itself shows what confidence can do and how powerful it is. Because these guys, like you say, after probably the first couple wins in the SEC tournament, they probably started expecting to win.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't have that same level. They always expect to win, but not to the same degree that they did after they got on that roll. And now they absolutely think they're going to win the whole thing, which is, again, credit to Coach Keats and his staff for keeping them moving in a great direction.
Lon Kruger, longtime coach, over 1,100 games, coach, 2 trips to the Final Four, Coaches versus Cancer. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Down.
Thank you.
You got it. Lon Kruger here on the Adam Gold Show at the Final Four.